answers so that we can move forward. And as I said in my commissioner chat, one of the biggest things is what we're not doing is, I'm not saying people did something wrong. I'm saying if something happened, we need to fix it so it doesn't happen again. And as we look to who we have elected, why do we continue to ignore that we're really not doing an audit? We don't need to know what happened last year. We're not saying money was gone last year, but we did move forward with the audit per statute. That's the RFP that we're going to open today. But the years before, if the board is blocking your forensics audit, then this community needs to do much more to support the members of that fair board, because they can't be exonerated. The people that are irritated about the report can't be exonerated, because we're not giving the objective information to Bonner County residents. So since I don't actually and did not anticipate that they were going to approve any of the items that were on there, we're going to also move into the next item that I just want to discuss. I will ask Brandon, if you can actually hear me, put your hand down. Don't worry, because I'm recording it, so I'll post. Oh, Jonna can hear me. Brandon must have walked away.
No.
No? Dan Rose.
Yeah, so I put out, submitted a letter to the editor. It's in the queue waiting to be printed. And it asks for exactly what you're asking for. Why there is no audit being done of the fairgrounds for the years prior to 2023. That will get a fair amount of attention countywide, but I agree with you, and I probably am speaking for many in that letter to the editor when I state that they are not doing their business. So we have an audience here that's limited, but that will be spread to a wider audience.
We also have to address why we're cutting down other elected officials and not actually doing our job as a board. I've never seen something happen where you don't do a root cause and a plan of correction. Never. I don't care if it was $2,000. I've never seen that happen in a county. But the other item that I had outside of the RFP was to continue the Zooming so we don't cut it off. We have to allow legal to use Zoom so they don't have to be here. This is expensive. They need to be able to do 2 jobs at one time. We're getting more for our money. But if we cut off Zoom, then they can't hear all of what happens in the break. And unfortunately, I had anticipated with the way this agenda was set out that it was going to go like this, because our voice is not being heard and we need the audit. And when I look, I have asked regularly about this Hayden and Ross letter and I don't get an answer. And we should not, as a group of people, we need our own clerk's office to allow this to happen, and they're not opposed to it at all. That's not what we're seeing. What we're seeing is the board isn't moving forward with looking at it. We're not trying to assign blame to people. People need to have the correct answer, and we can't allow the false narrative to be in Bonner County because it's hurtful to our county. The other one that I think that we need to take consideration is there is no reason that all of our records that have been released to members of the public get published online. That way you can see it. Legal has already said that they can agree to check a box that says it can go on the website. This will help reduce our paper printing. It will help reduce the hardship on our county. Why wouldn't we do that? You could just come and join your meeting instead of stand out there and smile.
Can I have a piece of pie?
You can have a piece of pie and banana bread, since you guys have to sit here till 11. Yes.
We're not going anywhere. The Zoom is muted, that's why he couldn't respond to you.
It is muted. We're not online. I checked. We're not online.
Technology, can you unmute Zoom so that even if you're not going to record, that people with their hands up can ask questions? Or unmute yourself? Can you email him and ask him?
They recessed after they took a vote on item number 6, so I'm assuming they're coming back to allow you 7 and 8, because they're supposed to pick up exactly where they left off when they recessed.
Did you just say you assumed?
I did say I assume, but that is Robert's rules that I'm assuming from.
But they don't follow them.
Sure.
I know, but we'll prove that.
So are we going to take bets to pay for our legal bills on that one? Yeah, Diane.
Can I say one thing
Yeah.
about the audit and the forensic audit?
Yeah.
I think that the public really needs to understand that we're looking at two different scenarios, right? So the county, because we're gonna be incorporating the fairgrounds into our financial reporting this year, we have to have an immediate audit of 23 so that we can do that. If we don't get that done, like yesterday, we're gonna lose out potentially on a whole bunch of money, like $11 million in 2025. It's a big deal. And so I understand everyone wants to know about what happened and where money went. But that is secondary to us getting this immediate thing done. And so I know that our office is in support of doing whatever it is that you guys would like to do. But I just wanna emphasize the importance of getting 23 done, like right now. Like,
It's-
we have a hard deadline.
I don't think anybody.
And Jessica, that was a good clarification, and
So,
what
like,
they're
yeah.
looking at is not, we're not, and I'm not looking at not voting for it, because that's why I said don't put the two things together. Because we have to continue the normal function of business, but we also have to look in the past. There are two very separate ones, one
Yes.
has a greater urgency because, did she just pass a knife? That's what we're
There's
doing
no
now?
knife for the fight.
So-
Why don't we bring a pitchfork?
But it isn't, and I think it's important to say, also as a community, if the auditor's office is in support, we also have to support their need to continue their business function without interruption, especially for all the funding that we're going to continue to be dependent on, but also so that we address the issues of, we have good staff in that office. This is looming over staff because it's a constant thing in our community. So I don't think we're gonna have a problem moving forward with the typical audit that we need for the auditor. This is a request specifically from Brandon of a forensics audit of that snapshot in time.
Well, and I think the way that, and I haven't done this before, not that, I haven't been here long enough, but I would think that once we find a company that's willing to do an audit on fairgrounds for 23, that would be the time to discuss with them their recommendation for a forensic audit or just an audit that looks further back, right? Because it's a different function. It's a different function. A forensic audit is much different than a regular third-party audit. And then also get an expectation of the cost so that we can budget for it appropriately, because we don't have the money in our budget this year to probably take that on, because it's going to be exponentially more expensive than a regular audit.
Right, don't you think that's why we send out the RFP, so you know what to anticipate to budget
Well,
for?
for sure, but, you know, I mean, I'm just looking at like the reality of the situation is that we probably aren't, it will be in 25's budget, you know what I mean? Like, it's work that doesn't need to be done yesterday because it's past events, right? Like,
And I'll say
I'm not
that
saying that we don't wanna know yesterday how it went and where money ended up, right?
Well, you actually could end up with an auditor that says they want their forensics audit before they do your 23 audit. And so it's reasonable for us to send out an
If that's the
RFP for
case,
that.
then it's gonna be a.
And which is, it's part of getting objective information so that you're not making an assumption, because you could very well say, we don't have the money, but we need to budget for it. Or we could be told, we don't have the money, we need to budget for it, and then the company you see says, holy crap, you guys needed to have done that, now you need to find the money.
Yeah.
We don't know, and it's better to know instead of to not know. And that is part of what's happening here, is we're making decisions in the dark without giving objective, because as a community, we could be a lot closer if the answer was, we do need to get the audit, this is what we expect the cost to be, this is when we anticipate it will be done, this is what you can expect from us. But what we're doing is we're ignoring and not answering. And that's not the fault of the auditor, it's not the fault of the fair, but we're all fighting over the same thing, we don't know the answer.
And the community wants to know why.
Asia, I got an answer, they can't hear, it sounds awful.
Yeah. Yes,
I would like you to find out why technology would leave the Zoom up but mute it, so those people have not a clue what's being discussed in this room.
I cannot change that.
The question is why? Why would they do that? Was that were they told to do that?
So what I was told was that when the recess is taken, that they're asked to discontinue the streaming. So I did ask if they just don't record it, but allow it to people to ask questions, but I'm thinking the answer is no. Is that,
I sent the email, but I think
Okay.
it's still off.
Okay, so. You don't need to stand up, there's no microphone.
I need to stand up. Okay.
Oh, phones, crack, 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 crack.
Commissioner Omont, this is the second or third time that he has read that the board has the duty to conduct audits on any monies in the county. And he has criticized the prosecutor's office for the audit they did in the course of their investigation. I wanna make sure, and I'm sure
Don't say it wrong.
the prosecutors are here, that your audit, or the audit you contracted, was not intended to supplant the audit that the Board of Commissioners is supposed to do.
Right, okay, that's an excellent question. So what I did was an investigation, which last time I looked, I'm in charge of. I don't know, there are perhaps some other elected officials that think they're.
Wait, what is the statute?
Slow down, because I wanna record this because he's not allowing it to be heard.
Keep recording it.
Last time I looked,
Are you using body cam, is that what you said? Okay.
Idaho statute rests the primary policing powers in two individuals, myself and Darrell Wheeler. We are the chief law enforcement officers of Bonner County. The commissioners obviously have no law enforcement powers whatsoever. I did not do an audit. I did an investigation. I stand by that investigation. It was never meant to be a forensic audit. And so I was not supplanting the commissioner's role.
And you didn't do it yourself, didn't you contract with someone to do it?
Yes.
Swan investigators.